Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Vivian and Eric. We are going to do an introduction of Awakening Feminine Power, who we are, what we do, what we have done. And if you, at the end of this video, would like to reach us, definitely take a look at the website and you can reach either of us at this email address, or you can email us, all of us, at Awakening Feminine Power at afpeventinfo@gmail.com. So, Vivian, please go ahead and tell us more about what we do.
Welcome, everyone. Eric and I have co-created Awakening Feminine Power to help you become the best version of you. And to achieve this, we will help you empower yourself by awakening and acknowledging your divine feminine energy. Personal development and self-mastery is the key to all of this. So today we're going to touch on the following topics: self-confidence and self-esteem, self-love, extraordinary relationships, intentions, and upgrading our limiting beliefs. We're just going to touch on these topics. Eric and I have done some detailed workshops that cover all of these. So we're going to give you just a taste of what's to come and how we can help you be the best you possible. So to kick this off, Eric's going to briefly discuss self-esteem and self-confidence.
Thank you, Vivian. Let's cover that. I'm making some changes here. Okay, perfect. So as Vivian mentioned, each of these 5 topics from the previous slide have been covered. The most recent time they were covered were when we delivered online sessions, and each of these topics was about 2 to 3 hours in length, and we covered all 5 topics over the course of 2 weeks. These recordings, live recordings, are available, and you can access them by going to our websites. They are available on YouTube, but they are not available to the public. You would have to register with Awakening Feminine Power. That first topic was really about differentiating between self-confidence and self-esteem, which is really, as you can see on the slide, there is a difference, and often we tend to confuse self-confidence, self-esteem. After discussing the differences, we really honed into how do you build the self-confidence that you want, and how do you increase your self-esteem. So self-esteem is really an overall evaluation you have on yourself, which self-confidence is more about your abilities. And Vivian is based in South Africa, Johannesburg. I am currently based in Los Angeles in the US. So as you can imagine, I have a lot of friends, and I do work with a number of people in the entertainment industry, and many of them have a very high self-confidence because they know very well what they are capable of doing, but that does not necessarily mean that they have a self-esteem. So these 2 topics are 2 different topics. We talked about that. We also looked at a number of tools. One of the things, and these slides are taken from the amazing quantity of materials that we have in the workshops we delivered. The bottom line for self-confidence is it's an inside job. Self-confidence does not come from your partner. It does not come from your parents. It does not come from what people tell you about you. Self-confidence is basically how you see yourself, how you like yourself. So start to like yourself. Start to be kind to yourself. And as you start to do that, life, the universe will mirror that to you. So if you don't like yourself, the universe will keep bringing things that tell you that you have reasons not to like yourself. So just change the story. And there are many techniques that we talked about during the workshop. We cannot cover that here in this introduction. We're just mentioning a couple of them. The mirror technique, which is basically using a mirror, like, when you are using a mirror in the morning to do your hair or shave or whatever, but it's using the mirror in a different way. And then also techniques to deal with rejections, because life being what it is, we are often rejected or reject other people. So how do you deal with rejections? And we covered 5 techniques to deal with rejections in a way that is actually beneficial for your self-confidence and your self-esteem. So that's some of what we've covered that is in that first workshop. More tools and technique, because these are just some of them. Affirmation: I love myself. I am fame and fortune for the greatest benefit of all. I am one with Mother and Father God. I like the sound of my voice. All of these would be affirmation that will help you build your self-confidence and build your self-esteem. Self-care as well, self-love, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So we had a number of techniques that we shared, some of them which we practiced during the session. All of that has been recorded live. We also discussed the self-esteem pyramid and how do you use this to build your self-esteem. Basically, there are 4 major components, as you can see. First, you have to be self-aware. For example, how do you speak to yourself? What are the stories that you tell yourself? That's being aware. Then you need to accept who you are, meaning accepting the beautiful things, because we are all perfect the way we are, and at the same time, no one is perfect. So it's accepting the amazing things about you and accepting the shadows, accepting these imperfections. Once you accept them, which requires being aware, then you need to start to love, which is appreciating yourself and appreciating others. So self-love, self-compassion, self-care, and eventually all of that leads to self-worth, which is by practicing that over and over, you end up really having a feel for your true worth, and self-esteem is just a result of that. So it's a lifelong process, and it's up to you how long it takes. You never really stop, but it's up to you how long it takes to get there. So as a summary, again, self-confidence is an inside job. The mirror technique can be multiplied. It's not just using a mirror. It can be multiplied throughout the day, throughout your life. Your thoughts create your reality. So if you want a reality of high self-confidence and high self-esteem, be careful of your thoughts. You are the person who talks to you the most. Nobody talks to you more than yourself. So be careful what you think and what you express. And the road to self-esteem starts with self-awareness. Basically, and these are all the techniques that we will teach in future workshops, how do you build a witness that looks at yourself throughout the course of your life, witnessing what you do, witnessing what you say. Basically, that idea of witness yourself to lead to self-awareness, to lead to changes. So Vivian is going to take us into self-love. Let me just change the video so that we can clearly hear from Vivian. Okay, perfect, Vivian. All yours.
Thank you. So we are bombarded daily by our not enoughness. But the truth is, we have inherent self-worth, and we deserve to be treated with love and respect, especially by ourselves. So this is where self-love comes in. Self-love is not to be confused with selfishness. Self-love is simply the recognition of our own worthiness and deservingness. Eric, will you go to the next slide, please?
Thank you.
Thanks. So what is self-love? Self-love is appreciating ourselves as we are and as we grow in each moment, every day. So when we take the actions that support our physical, mental, and spiritual growth, we cultivate this state of self-appreciation, which is self-love. So the key to self-love is being able to accept our weaknesses as well as our strengths. And it is having compassion for ourselves as human beings and to accept things as they are. Accept the isness of the situation instead of wishing they were some other way. We need to remember that in every day we are doing the absolute best we can in any given moment with the information and consciousness that we have in that moment. So be patient with yourself and remember to practice compassion, which is a great technique for self-love. I love the analogy of having to have, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you think about that, you need to fill yourself up first so that you can pour and give to those you love and other people in your life. And this doesn't just apply to our loved ones. You need to be strong and full to do well in your career or your work. So self-love really is crucial. Self-judgment is the next issue I just want to touch on briefly, because I think a lot of the time we're sabotaging ourselves, aren't we? Think about the constant chatter in your brain that you listen to. How much of what you say to yourself is negative and derogatory? And how much of this chatter that you listen to all day long is building you up? So we are our own harshest critics. That's the sad truth here. We spend much of our time in overthinking and self-judgment. There's nothing wrong with truthfully acknowledging our mistakes or shortcomings, but we need to release them and release these feelings and quickly move on. So an important part of self-love is to live without self-judgment and to squash all this overthinking that puts your mind in turmoil. Also remember, life is rarely as bad as what our fears and our projections and those scenarios that we cultivate in our minds through overthinking are. So when you project into the future, you live in fear and you're not living mindfully or present in the moment. On the other side of this, if you are living in the past, you are living in blame and shame, and neither is helpful or self-loving, to put it mildly. So I'm simply asking you to just set aside self-judgment activities consciously. I'm going to hand over to Eric, who's going to talk to us a bit about extraordinary relationships and how we can achieve these. Eric?
Thank you, Vivian. Let me change the videos. Okay. Do remember, as Vivian just mentioned, each of these topics was covered with a lot of details. There's basically one workshop on every topic, one workshop on self-confidence, one workshop on self-love, one workshop on extraordinary relationship. And each of these was 2 to 3 hours of insights and materials. So we went very much in depth on these. As far as extraordinary relationship, actually, let's look at the next slide. That picture always makes me smile. For those of you who don't know the movie, it's the Jerry Maguire movie. I just love that picture because there is that quote in between these two actors where you complete me. And I have, and that's one of the things that also happens in these workshops that we have delivered with Vivian, is not only do we give you the materials and the insights, but we have shared all along our own personal stories, our own personal learning, so that you don't have to spend as much time learning like we did. And I know I've learned a lot through several relationships myself, where I went into a relationship thinking that the other person would complete me, thinking that the other person would make me happy. I mean, come on, we have movies that are giving us that message of you complete me. And basically that doesn't lead to extraordinary relationship. You come in a relationship as a complete individual. And when two complete individuals come together, and when they are vibrating at the same level, because everything is energy, we are energy. And if we are, although we might be individuals that are complete, meaning we love ourselves, we have confidence, I am responsible for making myself happy. I'm not responsible for making you happy, and vice versa. So that's already, in a way, condition number one. But then if we are not vibrating at the same level, that gap in the level of vibration usually will make it difficult. We've talked, actually, I don't think I've mentioned that in the last workshop we delivered in December 2019, but I went into a relationship a few years ago where I would say she was vibrating at a higher level than I was, and I was trying to catch up. I did a lot of work on myself. Not only did I catch up, but I went higher in terms of my own awareness, my own spiritual path, and the relationship could not survive the new gap that had been created. So just keep in mind, you are responsible for yourself. You come in complete into a relationship, not looking to receive love from someone else, but looking to give unconditional love to the other individual. That's what leads to extraordinary relationship. In that workshop, we covered a lot of things, and one of the deepest truths is what's on that slide. And I will read that out loud. My very existence is more than enough to be worthy of receiving all support from life, of taking up space, of having a voice, of being loved and respected. There's nothing I need to do or accomplish to be any more worthy than simply I am by being present. And that is the foundation of getting in a relationship. There's nothing I need to do in a relationship in order to be loved. If there is, that's not a relationship that I want to be into, and neither should you. We covered a lot of grounds, and I'm obviously in this introduction not going to talk about these, but we discussed the 4 pillars of a man and the 4 layers of a woman. It's pillars of a man because a man is more, it's not about strength, but it's about the consistency, it's about the stability. And we talk about 4 layers of a woman because a woman, the feminine, is more with the flow of the energy. That being said, there's masculine and feminine energies in a man and a woman. But anyway, we went very deep in this. We also discussed what are the kind of relationship between a karmic relationship, a soulmate, and a twin flame relationship. What kind of relationship do you want? How do you know which one you are into? And how do you get the one that you want? So we talked about these aspects on the slide. And then we went deep into a series of communication skills, not your basic communication skills for extraordinary relationships, like being aware of destructive communication patterns. How do you validate and listen to someone else? These would improve the health of a relationship. Intentions and thoughts that drive extraordinary relationship. How do you disagree in a respectful way? You know, when you disagree with someone, you could disagree, and then that becomes an argument, and then it basically spirals down into a fight. Or you could respectfully disagree, which then would lead to a conversation, and the conversations would usually lead to some type of an action or a behavior. That's spiraling up. That's what respectful disagreement is about. So we discussed how to do that. So we went into a lot of depth about what's required for extraordinary relationship. Now, Vivian is going to take us back into intentions and goals, which was another workshop, one of the 5 that we covered. Go ahead, Vivian.
Thank you, Eric. So the workshop in itself really is personal goal setting and life project management. And we've also included some tips and tools for excellent and powerful interviews to help you in your business career. But just a part I'd like to talk about out of that is the part of intentions, which is a very powerful tool that you use alongside your goal setting, and in fact should use it every day in your life. And I'm going to take you through that now.
Okay.
So first, yeah, so we hear much about goal setting as we grow, and you're taught to set goals at school. You then set goals in your working career. You have key performance areas in your job, which you have to set goals for. But we don't really talk about intentions, and intentions are how we start our day and how we are as we move forward to achieve those goals. Eric, the next slide, please. So first, let us understand the difference between intentions, which we communicate to the universe, and setting goals. So goals are focused in the future and are specific, and it's a specific destination or an achievement, where intentions are in the present moment. Intentions are lived each day, and they are completely independent of achieving the goals you have set. Intentions are how you want to be in the moment, and I'm going to give you some examples where goals are external achievements versus intentions, which are about your relationship with yourself, how you talk to yourself and others. So both are very important, but the intention is what gives you the drive and motivation to achieve those goals. Eric, next slide, please.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Did we jump ahead there?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, so let's talk in a little bit more depth about our intentions. Intention is an activity, is activating your receptivity. So it's talking to yourself and to the universe. Setting and living your intentions allows you to decide and focus on who you are in the moment. And this is a very powerful tool for setting yourself a positive mindset every day before you begin your day. Intentions recognize and help you live your values. So by clarifying your intentions, you start detailing who you are and who you'd like to be as you move forward on your journey. And intentions help you raise your emotional energy, which in turn enables us to raise our physical energy to actually get the doing of goal setting and living our lives done. So just to sum that up, intentions give you purpose, inspiration, and motivation to achieve your goals. So I've given us a little example of an intention on the screen there. And I've said, just for today, I choose to work and serve with joy. I choose love over fear and peace over conflict. So for example, if you sort of repeated that to yourself a couple of times during the morning, as you set about getting ready for your day or on your way to work, you start programming yourself how you want to be in the day whilst you do. And you'll see that last part of the slide, I've put that sentence there. So my intention is how I want to be whilst I do, which could be pursuing your goals. So there's lots of different examples. And I think each day to choose new intentions based on how you're currently feeling. Maybe you need to perk yourself up. And what needs to get done in the day is crucial because it just sets that foundation for the day before the day starts. And repeating these over the day, or perhaps creating a little image where you see this, you can write it on Post-it notes or create a background for your iPhone. Every time you pick it up, you can see that that is your intention for the day. It just helps you retain a positive mindset as you walk forward on the journey. Now, we have many beliefs that limit us, and Eric's going to talk to us about this in a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Viviane, for what you said about intentions. Intentions are so critical to having the life that you want, and the workshop you delivered on that and the other subjects are so extraordinary. I'm so grateful of these collaborations. Intentions lead to belief, and beliefs obviously control your life. Actually, before I go to that slide, I want to mention that the beliefs that you have are not necessarily yours. That's one of the key. Your beliefs come from your parents, from generations, from society, past generations. So a lot of our beliefs are not ours, basically. So how do we change, how do we upgrade our beliefs to the beliefs that serves us the best? Beliefs often, and this is a complicated slide that we discussed deeply in the workshop that we delivered, but basically it means we start at the bottom with innocence. When we are born, we are innocent. Then some trauma happens, and many times, often trauma will happen, and that leads us to the creation of the false self in red on the slide. This is when then we create beliefs to protect ourselves. The only way to get back to the authentic self, which is at the top right of the slide, is through intimacy. And the best way, obviously, to experience intimacy is in relationship, which is why relationships is one of the most fertile ground for self-awareness and self-actualizations. So all of that will get you to recognize the beliefs that you have. Once we are aware, we actually have power, we are regaining power in a way over ourselves, and then we can start to create the new beliefs. And all of that happens with working with your brain. So the most basic level is really choosing love over fear, and we make decisions pretty much every second of the day. So it's about getting back to yourself, getting back to your authentic self by collaborating with your mind in a much better way. Your mind, by the way, its job is not to make you happy. Many of us think that our mind should make us happy. No, no. The job of our mind is to help us to survive. So it's not to make us happy. And the mind usually does this. It bases what it tells us based on two things: the words we tell our mind and the pictures that we create. So if, for example, you're driving on the highway and you're telling your mind, I hate the traffic, I cannot stand this highway, there's always too much traffic, I so wish that I was not there, and all of that. Don't be surprised if a few days later you have a major headache, a migraine, or diarrhea, so that you cannot get in your car and go on the highway, because your mind is just doing what you told him to do. It's taking you off the highway. So you need, in a way, to trick your mind. Not so much tricking, but it's collaborating better with your mind by changing the words that you say to yourself and changing the pictures that you make in your head. And a lot of that takes time. So a lot of these beliefs, upgrades, if you want, they need to be practiced over the course of usually 21 days. Research shows that in order for the brain to create new pathways and all of that, 21 days is kind of a sweet spot. If you do it less than that, usually you will revert back to the previous beliefs or behaviors. So you need to change what you tell yourself, change the image, and do it at least for 21 days. I can tell you it works. Vivienne has done it on herself. I've done it on myself. We both live in joy and bliss every single day. Doesn't mean that days don't get necessarily difficult, but we stay centered in our joy. As part of that last workshop, we've also included two transformation therapies. This is something that I am certified as a rapid transformation therapy, which is basically hypnotherapy to help you change your beliefs. So when you register, if you, for example, register for the online session that we've delivered, besides the insights, the experience that Vivienne and I have shared, you will also get access to two audio recording that I would recommend you play for 21 days. And this audio recording, one of them is a healing vortex and one of them is a cell therapy. Basically, if you have any kind of physical related injury or physical related pain, this is telling your brain to go back to its original blueprint. telling your brain to go back to how perfect you were when you were born. And listening to these for 21 days will naturally help the body go back to its original blueprint. So that's included with the workshops, the 5 workshops that we did. I'm going to go back to the 2 video screens, Vivian, and let you take it away.
Thank you, Eric. I so love that last workshop, upgrading our beliefs and changing our limiting beliefs. It's so important to uncover, firstly, what our beliefs are, and then with the tools and tips, intentions being one of them, mirror technique being another one, start to reprogram our minds so that we really are putting our best self forward every day and living the best possible life that we wish. So if you've enjoyed this website, this video, I would suggest you visit our website, which is www.awakeningfemininepower.org, or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We'll give you regular updates on how to contact us, on what's available. And of course, the website will have all the information on these 5 existing online 2 to 3 hour workshops that are available to you. So just in closing, I'd like to try and read this. I can't really see it. It's not big enough on my screen. So I'm going to come forward. Okay. How bewitching is it in that moment when you realize that you are your own twin flame, protector, soulmate, beloved, sacred spiral of hope, mentor of freedom, prophet, Buddha, spirit guide, divine counterpart, hero, and healer. Yeah. And I just love this quote. It just embodies what Eric and I are trying to do with Awakening Feminine Power. We want you to be whole in your divine feminine energy and be that beautiful person that shines every day. So thank you, Eric.
Thank you. We are here to support you. We're here to serve you. Our goal is to shorten your journey so that you get where you want to be faster than we did. So thank you, and let's stay connected.
Thank you. Take care.